Olene, tell me the situation with your son, and we're talking in this case about a confirmation.
My daughter was supposed to make her confirmation on the 8th of July. She started secondary school in September. We've had anxiety like there's no tomorrow about secondary school, but it was eased a bit for the fact of her confirmation. We were, going to give her a good day. Then yesterday evening, I had to go home and break the news to her. You could be in secondary school now before you get your confirmation. I don't understand how 50 adults can meet for a wedding and have the reception maybe in their back garden or in their uncle's garden or their parents' house and have alcohol and get drunk, but children are not allowed to have their confirmation or communion. There's two special days in a girl's life. That's her communion day and her wedding day. And the government have now decided that they're ruining that for children. And I'm absolutely fuming.
And let me ask you then, what was her reaction when you said, look, you may well be in secondary school before you have your confirmation? How did she react to that?
She was devastated, absolutely devastated. Like, do they realise the effort that's put in? Like, we weren't going to have a big hoolie in the back garden. Yeah, there was going to be a disco dome for her and some food and close friends. But how can they justify, like, the way I look at it, that's like having two children, giving one sweet and telling the other, oh no, you're not allowed them. Like, weddings are allowed to go ahead. But communion confirmation.
Well, let me ask you, Olene, what was your plan for, when was it, what date was it meant to be on?
The 8th of July.
The 8th of July, okay. So what was your plan for the 8th of July? What were you going to be doing after?
She was getting her confirmation at 6 o'clock in the evening because there was a good few schools were getting it the whole of the 8th of July. It was started at 10 o'clock and then there was different schools. We weren't doing that on the Thursday, the 8th. We were just having a disco dome, her cousins and her aunts and uncles. That's it. In the back garden with food. There was not going to be any hoolie. There wasn't going to be any sessions. She can't even have that day because of this.
Now, you know, and I know, you're saying that there may not have been a hoolie, there was no big celebrations, but you know and I know when it comes to communions and confirmations, the worry is not the ceremony in the church because, they're not going to have a hoolie in there. The worry is the party afterwards. And because we don't have any indoor dining and all of that, it's going to be much more at home with lots of people in the house. Isn't that a realistic concern?
Fine. That's fine, but why then are weddings allowed to go ahead?
Because they're restricted to 50 people.
Yeah, well, why not restrict confirmation and the communion to 50 people?
I understand how it looks like a contradiction, but if a wedding is happening, it's 50 people. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, they're not even allowed to have a wedding band. They're not even allowed to have dancing and stuff like that. Isn't that right?
That actually didn't come up. I'm going to look into that now. I know during the last set of announcements, there was a big thing about no music at weddings. I don't know why you'd want to get married if you couldn't have...
But you're still allowed 50 people.
You're still allowed 50 people, yeah.
I mean, okay, so then let the children go to the churches, have their communion, have their religious ceremony and all that. Why stop them from just having that? And then saying, okay, there's no parties or anything allowed till September. I mean, the bishops are meeting today at 4 o'clock to decide whether they're going to go ahead by what the government says or whether they're going to, and they're not going to go against the government.
No, they probably won't,
It's that stage now where I feel like, not bothering my IT letting Leah get her confirmation.
So your daughter is devastated over the fact that she will most likely now be in secondary school by the time she actually gets to make her confirmation.
I had a woman from Cork contact me this morning to tell me her daughter is going into second year and still has not received her confirmation.
And it, just as a matter of interest, because it's something that somebody just messaged us a moment ago to say, I can't believe parents still put their children through this stuff anyway. Is it the fact of not having a confirmation? Is it the not having a party? Which aspect of it is upsetting her the most?
It's the fact of not having a confirmation. My other two children had their confirmation.
So she wants to be confirmed, basically.
Yeah, she does want to be confirmed.
So that's what I'm asking. The religious aspect of it is quite important to her.
Yeah, it is. It is. As I said before, there's two special days in a girl's life. It's her communion day and her wedding day. They're the 2 days she gets to wear a white
Okay, but you're
dress
talking
or
about
whatever.
you're talking about a confirmation
Yeah, but
here.
it's still the same. The confirmations and the communions have been cancelled, but weddings are allowed to go ahead.
No,
Like, that's
and look,
contradicting.
I completely get the double standards that this is sending out. Stay there for 1 second if you can, please, Nolene. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. Who have we got on the line? Tracy is on line too. Tracy, good morning and welcome to Opinions Matter.
Good morning, Adrian.
Tracy, what's your point on this, please?
Well, since 2020, this is the 5th time that it's been cancelled.
You're talking about a communion.
Yeah, we only got a new date last Tuesday, and then yesterday this happened. We got a new date for the 13th of July, and then this happened. We got this text yesterday.
So when was the communion originally meant to be?
The 25th of May, 2020.
Okay, so over a year ago was the original communion date. That got postponed or moved forward, and this is the 5th time.
Yeah, it got moved forward to September. Then we were told in the end of November that it could be in December, and then when we were still in lockdown. This is I thought it was the 4th time, but to talk last night on the WhatsApp group, and it's the 5th time now. Today is the 5th time.
And let me ask you, what aspect of this you are most upset about, and your child is most upset about?
Because this is the second time. Adrian had to buy a suit. He's after getting taller since the first time. Since I bought the first suit, and it's the second time.
So you're on to suit number 2 already.
Yeah. We actually gave the first suit away to a charity.
God, that's awful. Right, okay. So that's one aspect. You've had to buy clothes again and again and again, which is insane. But also...
I think it's messing with the children's mental health.
That's what I was just about to ask you, yeah. You feel that this is really screwing with your child's head, that your child has been told your communion will be next week. Oh no, it'll be next week. Oh no, it'll be next week. Oh no, it'll be next year. And that's really having a negative effect.
Yeah, like he came home last week all excited because they told him that, we're making a communion. Like, he didn't tell the parents first. He went in and he told the children, which was fair enough because it's their day. And he came out all excited. He went back in, got his nurse suit. We were meant to collect it on the 8th of July. And then we got word yesterday that it was all cancelled. The kids were all
yet again.
Coming out of school last week when they got, when they got their new date.
All right, well, stay there for 1 second. I want to just bring in some more calls on this. If you have a comment you want to make on this, send us a WhatsApp right now to 085 825 2626. 085 825 2626. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note from Sinead.
Look, lads, it's a joke. Weddings are still increasing, confirmations and communions and christenings are cancelled, bear in mind. But it's the kids from last year that are still waiting to make their communion and confirmation that I feel sorry for. I had a child due to make his confirmation next Thursday. That's not going to happen. But sure, look, it'll happen in September. It's the kids from last year. They need to make theirs. They're going into second year in September and they still haven't made their confirmation. There's kids going into 4th class that still haven't made their communion. That's taken away the big special part of their day.
And that's exactly the point, Tracy, that you were making, that it is taking away their special day. And you genuinely feel that it is having an impact on children's mental health. No, she's not there. Are you there? No, she's not. Okay, on the other line I have Aoife. Aoife, good morning and welcome to Opinions Matter.
Good morning, Adrian. I love this new show.
Oh, thanks very much. You're very kind. Tell me your situation.
My daughter, she was supposed to make it on the 6th of June, or Holy Communion, 2020 last year, and it's been cancelled 4 times since then. She got a new date 2 weeks ago, the 17th of July. And it's been cancelled again.
And what's the reaction been like at home to that news?
Well, the Christmas time when they opened up a bit, we got a blessing off the priest, so we put her in a dress and had a little family thing for her. so she got to wear her dress because I knew this was going to happen, you know. So, but she was excited for the 7th of July, you know, just with her friends and putting her dress on, and it's terrible.
That is very, very frustrating. And, I know some people say there are much more important things going on in the world and blah, blah, blah. But say that to an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or somebody,
I know, yeah.
Or somebody who's gone into secondary school now that was due to make
She should have been making our Holy Communion 2nd class, and she's going into 4th class in September. And she still hasn't made it, you know.
You'll have to get her a wedding dress at this stage.
I know. she get her Holy Communion on her wedding day.
God, that really is upsetting. And our last caller was saying that, she believes that this is having an impact on children's mental health. Would you agree with that?
Not in my situation. I don't think she is upset about it, but like she kind of gets over then, that way.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
I'd say on an awful lot of kids, yeah, maybe.
And you can understand how kids are feeling. Not another thing. I mean, they, they're small, innocent little heads. They're thinking to themselves, "Oh, why again? Why is this happening again?"
Same with me, niece. She's supposed to make her confirmation like the same time as my daughter's communion. They're in the same school, and there was only 2 weeks, in the difference. So she got her date for her confirmation there as well, and my sister got, her dress had to be all done, and then it has to be cancelled again, and she paid more money. And
God, that really is awful. So do you think that the government should allow communions to go ahead?
The way they were doing it in my daughter's school is you were only doing 4 people, like you were doing 4 times. So it was only a little few groups. So that was one at 10 in the morning, then 2, and then 4 in the day.
But that wasn't the worry, though. The worry is what happens after, isn't it?
With the parties, yeah, I suppose. But we were only going for a meal either way, So,
and you would have been happy to go for an outdoor meal, would you?
Outdoor meal, yeah. Would have been perfectly happy with that. Just once she gets to go in and make her Holy Communion at this stage now.
Yeah, I have to say my heart really goes out to them. And I know, with weddings, people have them planned, but people also have communions and confirmations planned. And that's a fact of life. They do. Jeremy, do you think that this is too risky, or do you think they should be allowed to go ahead?
Oh, stop treating people like children. We are adults. We know at this stage into the pandemic, we know what is safe and what is not safe. We know all about, not to be around relatives if they're not vaccinated. There's a high chance that a lot of the parents whose children are making their confirmation certainly are vaccinated because they're probably in that cohort. So for God's sake, give us a bit of leeway and, stop treating us with kid gloves. I know that if I'm having a house gathering this weekend, I know what's safe and what's not safe.
I know, but you may. Not everybody does,
but
because we've seen examples, and to be honest, this is where this has come from. That and even this is one of the arguments against communions, is that there have been examples over the last year of the party afterwards becoming a super spreader event.
Can I say?
But this has happened. This isn't being made up.
Can I say one thing about that? If you are, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Aoife, if you are the type of person who is going to have a big gathering and not give two damns about being a super spreader, you're going to do that anyway. Those people... Yeah,
either way, you're going to do it no matter what. But to me personally, we were just going for a family little meal, that's all we wanted to do. But other people...
No, but that is the problem. Not everybody was having a small little gathering.
But those people are going to do that anyway, Adrian, because they're not taking the whole thing seriously.
Yeah, so they're doing it either way every weekend. And you look at town, all you have to look at town, and they're in their partying every weekend.
All you have to look at is drive around any estate, including my own estate, and out the back garden you'll see these huge marquees being put up. I see on Instagram, friends of mine having birthday parties are taking place on a grand scale in marquees out back gardens now. I know that because I see the posts on social media. Those people are going to do that anyway, Adrian.
So cancelling communions isn't going to stop super spreader events?
Absolutely not. No, we're at that stage now where people are done. They're fed up. Even people who were playing it very, very safe in the last year are now at the stage because their parents are probably vaccinated and their grandparents are vaccinated. If your birthday don't tell me for one moment that there's one person listening that if their birthday is this month or next month that they're not going to celebrate it with their friends, because I won't believe you. There's nobody.
No, you're probably
there's
right,
nobody
yeah.
sitting in their house on their own on their birthday now, not celebrating it. It's not happening.
085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. We'd love to get you involved in this conversation. We're talking about the announcement yesterday that alongside the failure to reopen indoor hospitality next week, First Holy Communions and confirmations are not to take place for the time being. One of the reasons behind that is there have been examples here in Ireland of communions and confirmations, not the ceremony in the church, but the afters, where families gather in houses and so on. There have been examples of super spreader events from those occasions. Who am I going to now? I'm going to Deb. Good morning. Welcome to Opinions Matter, Deb.
Hi, how are you?
Well, Deb, tell me about, this is something that's affecting your sister.
Yeah, it's basically like it's after been cancelled twice already, like, and she has her dress since December, and she only had a fitting for it, to get it let out now last week, and she's been so excited about it. And then when we seen the announcement yesterday, like, the child is riddled with anxiety, like, because she's thinking, like, as she said, like, why are weddings and everything else let go ahead, like, but the children are not allowed to make their communion. But she has a valid point, like, for an 8-year-old. Why are weddings?
No, and that is what an 8-year-old said. How come somebody's allowed to get married and I'm not allowed to make my communion?
Yeah, that's it, like, and she has a valid point. Like, why are weddings allowed to go ahead with 50 people allowed that, but a child can't go in with maybe 12 or 13 people in her class to make their communion, like.
And let me ask you, what was the plan for after the confirmation? What were they going to be doing?
Literally, come home and have something to eat and just bring her off for the day.
Okay, so there wasn't going to be a big, huge party or anything like that?
No.
Because that is one of the arguments that the government has put forward here, that we can't allow these communions to go ahead because so many parents decide to have a big party afterwards. That's not what was planned there either, anyway.
No, but, like, it's kind of like they're contradicting themselves that way, like, because there's parties still going ahead every weekend, so, like, why are they not being stopped? Like, why are the children suffering for people that are going to do it and do stuff anyway? Like weddings, like, there's 50 people in a wedding, like, half of them probably won't be vaccinated for the younger people, but yeah, a child can't go and have her communion there, like. And then it's the stress on the parents as well, like, if you get the child's outfit and then it doesn't end up not fitting, it's extra stress on the parents trying to get an outfit to fit them, and then having them, like, the children crying to the parents, like, why are they not letting us make our communion, like, but they're letting so much other things go ahead.
And it is awful to hear a young child like that saying something like that. Why am I not allowed to do it? And that lady down the road is allowed to get married. It just seems desperately unfair. And have they been given any indication as to when they may be able to have the communion?
No, because, like, even last night, like, we didn't see it was. I went looking after I seen on Facebook that they said, like, that they weren't going ahead, but they couldn't find any kind of, like, official announcement to say that it wasn't. So we were kind of like, maybe it isn't going ahead. And this is the first, like, I've heard that definitely not going ahead.
But that's certainly what we've been told, that they're not to go ahead, basically.
Yeah, but, like, as my 8-year-old sister said, like, people can go and get married. And, like, they can have big soccer matches and they can have, like, thousands at a spectators match, but I can't go to the church and make the communion, like.
Yeah, the worst thing, and I'm just reading a comment, we're going to speak to this mother in a moment, Lorna. The worst thing as a parent is telling your child something and they break down in tears because of the news they've just told them. Lorna had to go through that.
And that's here?
Yep.
Okay, Lorna, good morning. You're on Opinions Matter. How are you?
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Lorna. So tell me what happened.
Okay, so just a brief picture. I have 3 girls. I've one.
We've lost her.
Sorry, I'll get her back now, yeah.
085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. We have her back on the line. Sorry, we have you there, Lorna. I don't know what happened there.
Yes, how are you?
So go on, tell me what happened.
So I have 3 girls. I have one for confirmation, one who hasn't made our communion since last year, and one who is now in 2nd class who was due to make it. And so I had to sit them down last night and explain to them. My girl that's 9, she's kind of over at this stage.
she's right. Okay, yeah, here we go again. Our 12-year-old sister was like, well, we wait and see what happens, Mum. But my little one, she's 8, Georgia, is heartbroken. And I mean, completely heartbroken. She cried till 11 p.m. last night. Sorry, it's actually hard not to let it affect me because I can't actually imagine the last time I seen her so upset. She is devastated. Is the word. And like other mums, or like you said there, you know, she asked, well, how come people get married and I can't make my communion, Mum? That's not fair.
So she was asking the exact same question that other child we heard of, that weddings can go ahead and she can't have her First Holy Communion.
No, she's not allowed into a church with the children that she has been sitting with for months on end, to make her First Holy Communion and all the preparation and everything that has gone into it. And she can't understand, and neither can I, to be quite honest, why it is that she can't sit in a church where, I mean, our church, even in COVID times, is the limit they're allowed in at any one time is 96. And, you know, outside of that, it would take a couple of hundred, but in restricted measures, they sit 96. So she cannot understand why it is that, all she kept saying is, Mum, I don't understand. It's not fair. And all I could say to her pet is, you're right, love, it's not fair. And I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I said to her, if it was up to me, I would bring you to the church tonight and ask the priest to give you your First Holy Communion. You know,
and is that the bit? Because I just reading a message that came in our Facebook page a moment ago, and it says, all the mammies mad for a day on the drink, that's all. I'd say none of them are even churchgoers, pack of hypocrites. Which part of it is your child most upset about?
My child said to me last night, and I got hand on my heart as I say this to you, she said, Mum, I'm trying not to be upset because I know God and that Jesus won't let me down. And I swear to you, on my 4 children, on their lives, they would have wore out my 8-year-old's mouth last night. I have no intentions of going on the drink, and I'm sure whoever made that comment is mad for attention, so we'll leave them to it, and won't play along that game with them. But no, I have no intention of being mad for the drink or anything like that. For the child's communion. She was due to make it with her sister, who's going into 4th class now in September, please God, and still hasn't made a communion since last year. And I've had to rebuy her entire outfit. Like the whole lot had to go and had to be rebought again. And
let me ask you sound really genuinely upset about this whole thing. Let me ask
genuinely, and I'm furious as an adult, but you can't let children see that. But I'm absolutely furious.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. As a parent who's seen this devastation with your children, kids that weren't necessarily looking forward to a big party. They're kids who actually wanted to make their First Holy Communion because it's a big day in your development.
Yeah.
So what is your message then to the government with regard to the restrictions and, like we said, allowing weddings of 50 people to go ahead, but not allowing your child to make her First Holy Communion? What is your message to the authorities who've made that decision?
I would advise them to stop picking on little children because I believe they are picking on them. They announced at Christmas, no, the COVID cases are not relating back to schools, but we're going to close schools anyway. We're going to allow their education to suffer. While we're at it, we're going to take away their birthday parties and all the rest of it. And also, which, as you just said, has happened for a lot of people. That's not specific to children, and now for no apparent reason, hospitality can't open. By the way, communions and confirmations are off. That is the way that pompous little prat, God forgive me, announced that yesterday. That's off. No reason, no logic, no modelling behind that one.
Well, one of the arguments, and I mentioned this already, one of the arguments that they've put forward is that there have been examples, now they're probably few and far between, but there have been examples of how communions, and in particular the parties afterwards, have become super spreader events. That has happened in many parts of the country. So that's what they're worried about. It's not the church ceremony, it's the afters.
Okay, and you'd imagine with the education they all have between them, that they would have realised that weddings have the exact capability of being super spreaders. I mean, Adrian, I have had COVID. I was very ill with it. I'm very aware of this virus is capable of doing, and the impact it can have on a family, right across everything from you not being able to see your children for 2 weeks straight, and then the financial impact. I'm very aware of this virus is capable of doing. And what I was told by the nun who coordinates the communions and confirmations in our kids' school is that we can't trust. That's the word, trust parents not to have parties.
Okay, but the fact of the matter is, whether we like it or not, though, whether we like it or not, you can't trust certain parents. Not all, but you can't trust.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have had.
People.
We saw in Limerick where there was a huge increase in cases. A lot of them were tracked right back to First Holy Communions.
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious as to how no cases have been tracked back to the likes of St. William Street 2-3 weeks ago, when Tolly Houlihan just happened to be popping into town on that night and see what was going on. I mean, the dogs on the street knew that was going on in the city centre prior to him picking up about it, So anyone who believes that he just happened to be there on the off chance has a little more to do than reconsider that. But
and like I said yesterday, the whole conversation was around pubs and restaurants and all of that, and understandably, because there's a lot of businesses being affected.
Absolutely, yeah.
However, the conversation today has moved on to what other people may not realise. In fact, there was lots of talk you can have 50 people at your wedding, but I didn't even realise until we looked into this last night that communions and confirmations are gone again, which is just... And I can hear the devastation in your voice. I can hear you relaying the devastation from your own child that this has happened yet again.
It happened again, yeah, absolutely. I mean, initially, my girl going into fourth class was meant to make it last May. That was moved to September. 2 days before our communion on the 18th, it was cancelled again. And then that was it. No more was said about it up until a month ago, until we got a date for July for the two of them together. The two of them were allowing the two of them to make it together. And now it's gone again. And
well, I have to say, my heart goes out to you. It really does, that this is happening yet again. And you would echo the previous calls that we had, saying this has to stop. Stop picking on children like this.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't even nearly have what it takes to understand why this is happening. I don't believe that this is justified. I really don't. And in a child's words, it isn't fair. Like, you can go today and go to or tomorrow and go to a funeral of 50 people, or a wedding of 50 people, but 50 children can't make their communion.
Just one final question: what was your plan for afterwards?
We had a little bouncy castle booked for the house. The communion date was on a Tuesday. It was the 27th of July. It was a Tuesday. We had a communion, a bouncy castle booked for them. It was more of a kids' party than anything. And that was it. A lot of people can't get days off work and stuff like that. Quite honestly, I wasn't that bothered. The girls were getting their day. They were having a couple
so it wasn't going to be a major super spreader event party.
Certainly not. No. Certainly not.
And that seems to be the case for an awful lot of the other mothers that we've spoken to. They weren't planning a big, huge event with a marquee and half the neighbourhood around. As I said, my heart goes out to you. It really does, and I hope that this gets sorted sooner rather than later, because it seems so unfair that our kids are being singled out again for this sort of thing. We really appreciate your call. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you. Good morning. Take care.
085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number if you want to throw your tuppence worth in before we wrap this up. Morris has a suggestion. Let's have a listen to Morris's WhatsApp voice note.
Morning, lads. How are you doing? Yeah, it's disappointing for the children, okay? But I think I might have a solution, okay? Could we not use the Phoenix Park, right? We got 1 million Catholics in there and all other religions in 1979, and there was 200,000 maybe when Francis came here in 2017. Could we not facilitate the children on communion days? You know, have a fairly scattered out gathering. The child and the parents and whatever, and let them get their communions done out in the open air. It's safe for everybody, and the confirmations, and then every family takes responsibility and goes back to their own house and has their own party day out for family. And anybody that wants to give the child a few bob, post it to them, or else put it in the letterbox. Can we not put heads together and get this sorted out and stop having the kids being victimised all the time? Thanks, lads.
All right, Mars, thanks very much indeed. We'll squeeze in a couple more of your WhatsApp voice notes. This is from Sue.
Hey lads, loving the show. Just to let you know, parties are still all going ahead. The only thing I can see is cancelled is the church part of the confirmations. Everybody's still going ahead with parties.
So in other words, if the communion was meant to be on the 11th of July, they'd booked a bouncy castle, they'd booked everything else.
They're not going to cancel
but the party is still going to happen.